Hello, Bill Carroll, Zenny62 Media, and working my way through some of the upcoming games for the bowl season and, of course, the players. In one of the more rich, in my opinion, bowl games is the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and we're going to have former Southwestern Conference rivals, Arkansas and Texas Tech. Arkansas has a good number of pro prospects. Everyone, I think, who follows the draft is very familiar with Landon Jackson. I'm extremely familiar with his running buddy, his partner, who unfortunately has been battling injuries, Anton Junkaj, who transferred from Southern Connecticut and then to Albany. And of course, at Albany, he and Jared Verse and the late A.J. Simon were a terror at Albany and led them to a couple of wins, I believe, or correctly, at the NFCS playoffs. Then transfers up to Arkansas and didn't have quite the season he or those who sort of follow him were hoping for, but still had a solid season despite being injured in November. I hope he gets healthy, but he's a power guy, sort of Vanden Boschian kind of defensive end, about 6'2 and a half, about 272 pounds, violent hand usage, powerful guy, not super bitty, not super twitchy. Landon Jackson, of course, is more of the quote-unquote ideal defensive end, long, flexible, didn't quite produce to the extent that I was looking for, but still, when you're 6'6", 6'5", and 7'8", 6'6" and a quarter, somewhere in that range, he's going to be able to over, if not 6'6", he might very close to it, and possibly even a little bit over 6'6", and probably right around 277 to 281-ish pounds. And if he runs, as maybe you're expecting, low 4.7s, it has the kind of workout people are expecting. It's going to be, he's going to go. He's going to go fairly early. And the game that put him hugely on the map was not even this year, was last year against Alabama, where he had 11 tackles and 3.5 sacks. And, if somehow he could have been magically transported to the draft from that point, he would have been probably a person who would have gone the top 20 picks of that year. He's going to go in the top 40-ish picks this year. And I should note that if he does have an absolutely monster combine, he could go in the first 25 or so picks. But Arkansas has other players. Arkansas has a pretty good depth of NFL-level talent, and not all of them will be drafted, but many of them will. I would mention that Hudson Clark has a chance to be drafted. That's another player that, in the right situation, the right setting, right system, and I think he's going to test well. Could be I think could go as early as the mid-4th, or more likely goes somewhere in the 5th. Kyle Ramsey is another player. Their kicker is probably not drafted, but it'll be in an NFL camp. Nico Slaughter is a player that, once again, probably not drafted, but I could see him finding his way into an NFL camp. Most recently, Quinton Jackson the big back, decided to not transfer. Though there was word that he might transfer, he ended up just declaring for the draft. He's a big kid, probably going to come in at 6'1 and 3/8, probably going to weigh 229-ish at the combine. And once again, if he runs anything sub 4.6 is good for him. He's a power back, he's a banger. So if he runs, 4.51, that's a big day for him. Anything under 4.5 is enormous. And I think he has a chance to be drafted in the 6th or 7th round, unless he has a bad day at pro day combine, that pushes him probably out of the draft. But there'll be interest in him because, once again, he's a big back. Think of a poor man's Steven Jackson. Doesn't catch the ball as well. It's not quite as instinctive. Matthew Shipley, right, as another player who has a shot. They have a couple of different kickers who they've used for different things like kickoffs and long kickoffs versus their more accuracy-based kicks. But once again, not drafted, but probably as a undrafted free agent. Who else might? Oh, Gregory. And then that's the other person I could see possibly. Another defensive lineman. Eric Gregory is sort of a potential sort of move-around piece. He can play the 3, in a traditional 4-man, 4 under or 4 over, where he's that penetrating single gap player. And then he can also play the 4-eye, and even on front, even play the 5 technique. And once again, a powerful player, not freakishly athletic, but athletic enough. And I think there's a place for him in the NFL, especially since you look for versatility, especially from your reserves. You look for versatility, guys who can play multiple positions. And I think he can play multiple positions at the NFL level. Texas Tech has some good players. Taj Brooks is another power back, probably going to come in at anywhere from 5'9.5" to 5'10" and a quarter. I think he'll be anywhere from 224, especially if he slims down a little bit to try to run fast. At the combine, he'll probably show up somewhere in the mid to upper 220s, maybe low 230s. And anything under 4.61 is a win for him. 4.62. I think he's probably in that 4.56 to 4.62 range, which is fine for the kind of back he is. He's not the kind of guy that just he doesn't run from people. He runs through people. But he can make people miss also. I would make it sound like he's just a battering ram. He's got a little bit of movement to him as well. Other Texas Tech players with at least a legitimate shot at being drafted, and there's at least a couple more. I would mention that there's an opportunity for, I would say maybe 3 or 4 of their players to end up being drafted when it's all said and done. And the other one that I think has the best shot is Conyers. And Conyers is, once again, a size guy, right? And height, weight, speed, right? You look at him and you think, okay, this guy's a shot. He plays tight end in a not very tight end-centric offense, so his numbers are good but not great, but he's legitimately 260 plus and probably going to come in at anywhere from 6'3 and 7/8 to 6'4 and a half, somewhere in that range. And if he runs well, and that's always a big question, the question is, you never know if a player's going to run well till they run. But if he runs well, he has a legitimate shot to go somewhere mid to late day 3. These are 2 programs that I think will be better next year than they were this year. Texas Tech is one of those sort of unpredictable programs where in the years we think they're going to contend for the title, they end up finishing 6th or 7th in the conference. And then the years when we think they're going to be middle of the pack or below, they win 9 or 10 games. But if they do win this game, they'll be the highest win total they've had since the last year that the late, great Mike Leach was there. And then for Arkansas, they're always a play or 2 away, right? They always need another corner, another wide receiver, another quarterback. They've struggled at quarterback, though Green has given them some really good play at times. And once again, he's been a little consistent. But those are the players as talked about, I think, with best chance to be drafted. I'm going to lean Texas Tech ever so slightly in this game. I think that, I think this game probably means a little more to them. And more to the point, I think that they have had fewer of their good players have moved on to other places. So they're going to be closer to the team that we've seen most of the season. Once again, I think it's a close game. I think 3 to 4 points is going to separate these 2 teams, and easily Arkansas can win, especially if they dominate in the trenches, which is usually how they win when they win. But I think Texas Tech's going to be able to get some deep shots and even some run game plays that'll give them a chance to create some short fields, and maybe even they might even get a turnover. It might be another short field, and that's all you need in a game this close is just get 1 or 2 more short fields. Once again, Bill Carroll, Team MBS Media. I have at least 1 more game that I'll be previewing for you today, and I'll be doing the rest of them throughout the rest of the bowl season. See you there.